Well, it seems Mayor Eric Adams' visit to Mar-a-Lago was a success, as the Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, the former personal attorney to Trump, has issued a memo requesting that the Southern District of New York dismiss the criminal charges against Mayor Eric Adams. They ask for the dismissal to be without prejudice, which means they can be filed at any time, which means if Trump isn't happy with how the mayor of one of the largest cities in the country, if not the world, acts according to Trump, they can be refiled. This is a level of corruption unseen before. Of course, Mayor Eric Adams, that's what his charges were corruption. And now you have a visit to Mar-a-Lago and a request by Mayor Eric Adams. He put a memo out to his staff asking them to not criticize Trump and not to interfere with Trump's immigration policies. As we know, New York is a sanctuary city. My name is Dina Doll with the Legal AF channel. Let's break this down. Now, specifically, this is what the memo, Emil Bove, is laying out his really, of course, there's no justification for this. His trial, Mayor Eric Adams' trial, was supposed to go in April. This isn't about the evidence at trial. Emil Bove even says this isn't about the evidence at trial. They are saying instead that this should be dismissed without prejudice for these reasons. He goes ahead and says, the Justice Department has reached this conclusion without assessing the strength of the evidence or the legal theories on which the case is based, which are issues on which we defer to the U.S. Attorney's Office at this time. Moreover, as I said during our recent meetings, this directive in no way calls into question the integrity and efforts of the line prosecutors responsible for the case or your efforts in leading those prosecutors in connection with the matter you inherited. So I guess they don't intend on punishing these prosecutors, as they have signaled they want to in other cases related to Trump. But in this way, they go out of their way to say you were just doing your job. Okay, so the memo continues. However, the Justice Department has determined that dismissal subject to the above described conditions is necessary for two independent reasons. First, the timing of the charges and more recent public actions by the former U.S. attorney responsible for initiating the case have threatened the integrity of the proceedings, including by increasing prejudicial pretrial publicity that risks impacting potential witnesses and the jury pool. Okay, high-profile trials are pretty much the norm these days. We have, Harvey Weinstein. We had Kyle Rittenhouse. People do not get their charges dismissed just because there's media attention around it. So right off the bat, this making zero sense. You would have to never basically charge any real issue that the public cares about if you are going to care about, the type of media that was around this case. The memo goes on to say, it cannot be ignored that Mayor Adams criticized the prior administration's immigration policies before the charges were filed, and the former U.S. attorney's public actions created appearances of impropriety that implicate the concerns raised in the Attorney General's February 5th, 2025 memorandum. Again, this is they're specifically tying this to immigration, which is not a surprise then that the memo that went out from the mayor's office saying to staff that they should be cooperating or not interfering with Trump's immigration policy when indeed New York City is a sanctuary city. The memo goes on to say, these actions and the underlying case have also improperly interfered with Mayor Adams' campaign in the 2025 mayoral election. Never have we seen the criminal, charges somehow being trumped by the fact that somebody is running for re-election. So breaking new ground, let's say, on level of corruption, that if somebody is running for re-election, then somehow their criminal charges are dismissed. I mean, I would like to see that happen to a Democrat. Of course it's not. But, this is the twists and turns that they try to make in order to just, obviously this is a quid pro quo. He goes to meet with Trump. Trump sees this as leverage over him. And so, but this outlandish idea that somehow interfering with a re-election is a reason to dismiss corruption charges on a candidate. The memo goes on to say, second, the pending prosecution has unduly restricted Mayor Adams' ability to devote full attention and resources to the illegal immigration and violent crime that escalated under the policies of the prior administration. We are particularly concerned about the impact of the prosecution on Mayor Adams' ability to support critical ongoing federal efforts to protect the American people from the disastrous effects of unlawful mass migration and resettlement, as described in the executive order, accomplishing the immigration objectives established by President Trump and the Attorney General is every bit as important, if not more so, as the objectives that the prior administration pursued by releasing violent criminals such as Victor Bout, the Merchant of Death. Accordingly, based on these additional concerns that are distinct from the weaponization problems, dismissal without prejudice is also necessary at this time. So, this is, I think, a direct message to Mayor Adams himself. Basically, we are dismissing these charges because these charges are interfering with your ability to help with our deportations. So if we dismiss it, we expect you to help with our deportations, even though as a sanctuary city, you're not supposed to offer that help. But it's very clear in that second thing that I think that is a direct message to Mayor Adams. This is the quo part of the quid, that we are willing to dismiss us without prejudice as long as you are willing to help us with these deportations in a way that you're not supposed to as a sanctuary city. And Mayor Adams already putting out a memo to his staff for them not to interfere, which is essentially, what Emil Bove is saying in this memo. This is about immigration and Trump using leverage, these corruption charges. That's the stunning part here. The corruption charges against Mayor Adams being dismissed without prejudice in a way to further even more corruption. We know the primaries for this position or for mayor is in June, with the election in November. So the voters in New York get to decide from here on out, do you think that Mayor Eric Adams' actions are benefiting you? Is he doing it for you? Or is he doing it for Trump? Because he's afraid that if he doesn't do what Trump wants, then they'll reinstate these criminal charges. And that's something that every voter will have to answer for themselves. But this is the directive that the Deputy Attorney General under Trump issuing this memo in a stunning dismissal without prejudice against corruption charges against the sitting mayor of New York. My name is Dina Doll with the Legal AF channel. We will continue to update you as these many legal issues come out of the Trump administration.
In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.